Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning. Welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Bisel. When the Kansas Territory was organized into counties, I think in 1855, I think there were 33 original counties. One of those was Davis County. You don't know where to find Davis County? That's because it doesn't exist as Davis County anymore. Now we know it as Geary County. When that county was organized, Jefferson Davis was the Secretary of War. And of course, honoring the politicians, important people, was just the way you named counties. Washington County, for example, it's really obvious where that name comes from. But Davis County became a little bit controversial when Jefferson Davis, for whom it was named, went on to become the President of the Confederate States of America. So the good folks of Davis County decided they needed to change it, since most of them, of course, had supported the Union, and much of what would become that county were made up of Union soldiers after a certain point. So in 1885, it became Geary County, named for John White Geary. Now, he was much more acceptable. Geary had been the last alcalde and the first mayor of San Francisco, and most importantly to us, he was the third territorial governor of Kansas. Now, he was a big guy. He was way over 6 feet tall, Pennsylvanian, and not afraid of very much. But being the territorial governor of Kansas was a tough job, and it was a pretty scary job. He actually fled in the middle of the night with his brace of pistols and said, "You know what, I'm done with this." It was a pretty scary place to be. So he goes back to Pennsylvania, where he will become a pretty big deal in the Civil War. He's a general, and later on he'll become the 16th governor of Pennsylvania. So when the good folks of Davis County were deciding who they needed to name their county after, rather than Jefferson Davis, they picked John White Geary. Now, if you go over to Junction City, to the Geary County Historical Society, they've got all kinds of information about this, plus the other rich things that happened. Of course, Junction City, so named because that's the junction of the rivers there, the Republican and the Smoky Hill, which of course make the Kaw. So it's harder to find a more significant place in the geography of Kansas than that specific point. Junction City, of course, was home to another favorite person of mine, General J.E.B. Stuart. Stuart actually laid the cornerstone for the Episcopal Church in Junction City when he was a lieutenant in the Union Army during the territorial period. So many great things to find and do in Junction City, so we hope you get over there. I was visiting with the ladies from the Geary County CVB the other day at a tourism event, and one of the things they told me about that I had no idea, the duct tape and cardboard boat regatta that they hold each year on Milford Lake. So if you've got some engineering prowess and a lot of optimism, you too can make a boat from cardboard and duct tape and compete in the regatta. They have some pretty small little entries on up to, they told me that the K-State Engineering Department actually used a semi to bring their entry over one day. So I think that's one that we're going to have to put on our calendar for this year. We'll be right back.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a nearly 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, the tools you need for around the home and farm, and a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so when you have some time, take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.